What's going on, everybody on YouTube? Steve here, Rake and Profit over at rakeandprofit.com, coming back to you with another live show from a beautiful Thursday afternoon. I'm here in Connecticut. I would love to know where you guys are from right now. But today I am chatting with my good friend Joe, who is an 8-figure drop shipper, drop ships on eBay, Amazon, Walmart, does all types of crazy stuff. And he is using a software called SaleFreaks, which we're going to be talking about today. We always get a lot of questions coming in asking, how to start a drop shipping business, what software should I use? And that's one of the biggest things that holds people back is learning softwares to help you to, build, scale, and automate a drop shipping business. So, in this video, this is going to be part 1 of a 12-part series where we talk about drop shipping and how to use SaleFreaks software to get started drop shipping. So, what's up, Joe? How you doing, brother?
How's it going, man?
Hey, it's going great, man. Super happy to have you here. And Ben, who's the manager over at SaleFreaks, linked us up. And Joe's been drop shipping using SaleFreaks for I think 3 going on 4 years now. And I've heard nothing but good things about you. You're actually, it's funny, I was on the plane. I was on a plane a couple weeks ago, and I think I saw you were on Tyler's YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, definitely. That was like my introductory to, I guess that was my introduction to like YouTube in general. So everybody said it seemed to go pretty well for the most part. So I guess here I am again, right?
Dude, you did a great job, man. I tell you right now, I rarely ever watch a full YouTube video all the way through. But I watched the one with you guys because you guys were very engaging, and I can tell, you're actually living this life and doing it. So it's great to have you here. And let's just get things started, I guess, with maybe who you are and kind of how you got started in this drop shipping world.
Sure. So yeah, I pretty much started looking for like alternative income a couple of years after I graduated from high school, which was quite a while ago now. But I pretty much just started going through a list of everything that I thought I could possibly try or do. And much like a lot of drop shippers seem to say, I thought I invented it at the time because my thought was like, hey, why do I have to own a particular product or actually have it within my, my hands right now to sell it? So why can't I just, source it from somewhere else and do it that way? So I began listing things like manually from Amazon and pretty much did everything manually. I would order manually. I would reprice things manually. I would do everything that way. And, sales started coming in, got a little bit excited. And, that's pretty much where it started. Moved along to the software somewhere down the road, but that's where it started for me.
That's cool, man. Yeah, I noticed a lot of people start listing manually and then they realize it's a lot of work, right? There's so many things you have to manage, right? So why should people look into a software such as SaleFreaks versus doing everything on their own?
So it allows scalability. It definitely allows a little bit more freedom. When I was doing things manually, if I wanted to go on vacation or something like that, or I wanted like a personal day, obviously your store just gets completely neglected at that point in time. So automation definitely allows scalability and freedom for the most part. There's only so many things you can do yourself in a day. So
yeah, no, I think that's a great lesson right there. We all get started, we're trying to do everything, and then we're asking ourselves, why isn't the business growing? And it's because we're spending our time doing all these things that are outside of what I like to call the queen bee role. There's usually 1 or 2 things that really drive your business forward, and you want to spend your time doing those 1 or 2 things. But with a drop shipping business, or even if you're just doing retail arbitrage on eBay or Amazon, a lot of times we get caught up in these mundane, repetitive tasks that really aren't driving the revenue and profitability forward. And that's what we're doing this business for, to make more money and to have more free time, right? That's pretty much it right there. So I want to take a second to shout some people out. We got a lot of people in the comments. And Joe, we got Tyler saying, I made Joe a star. What do you think about that, man?
Tyler, yeah, he kind of helped me. He convinced me to get on YouTube in the first place. So he proved to me that it wasn't so bad. So thanks for that, Tyler.
Yeah, it gets easier for sure. We got Dropship Tyler also throwing in $1.99 super chat, coming in with those drop shipping profits, spreading the love, man. I appreciate that. Everyone's always like, because I always give people $1.99 super chat, and people are like, why do you do that? $1.99, it's so random. Well, that's the default that YouTube sets it at.
Gotcha.
So we got Mr. Bourgeon saying, yo, 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 what's up? Reseller King. We got Martin from Thrift Store Gold, who I think has been on every single one of my live shows in the last 45 days straight. So, Martin, you deserve a reward. We got African Dropshipper in the house saying, Joe is the unknown warrior. I don't think a lot of you guys realize who this Joe guy is. He's kind of a legend, but I'm not going to go too far into it.
Making an appearance. I guess I'll slowly share a little bit more information as time goes on to get more comfortable with the old YouTube thing. But
it takes time for sure. Like I was saying, when I first started my YouTube channel, I was scared. I was scared crazy. Just like, you just don't know. But it's a lot of fun. It's rewarding. Hey, we got Retro Junk in the house. We got my main man, Brandon, from a couple streets over in the comments. Angelica is from Florida. What's up? Good morning, Carrie, Kyrol, Zach. So many people in the house. Awesome. Appreciate you guys being here. So if you guys are excited to get started, I need you guys to do me a couple favors. Number one, smash that like button down below. Also, I want you to say Joe is the man in the comments if you are excited to get started. And I want to say right now, if you guys want to follow along, because this is going to be a 12-part series, Joe's going to be in the first 3 videos, and I'm going to have a couple other guests over the next couple of months during each segment of the series. But if you want to follow along, there's actually a link. It's the first link in the description, rakeandprofit.com/salefreaks. You can get 100 free listings. So that's a special deal that I worked out with Ben and the guys over at Sale Freaks. So you can get started for free. You don't have to pay any money to get started, and you can follow through and start to set up your Sale Freaks software to start building, scaling, and automating your business. So are you ready? Let's go into the first educational segment. If you want to start to share your screen, Joe.
Okay, let me get it set up.
We're going to talk about the first thing that you're going to need to do when you set up your Sale Freaks account. And again, this is a software that's going to help you to scale, build, and automate your dropshipping business. The first thing you're going to want to do is set up your global settings. So I'm going to lock the screen on Joe right now. And maybe we could just start off by saying, like, maybe talking a little bit about what the heck are global settings? Why do people need to set this up?
Yeah, so the global settings page is essentially where you're going to configure. That's pretty much where everything happens in terms of how your eBay store is going to be run. So if you want, I can start getting right into it and explaining some of the things if it looks like my screen's up and you can see everything okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And is this the first step that someone's going to want to take?
Let me start from the dashboard. So let's just assume you just logged in and you're trying to get to that page. So this is just a demo account, so you're not going to see really anything going on here. But so what you would do from the dashboard is you're going to come on over to the settings section. And then as you can see in the drop-down menu, you have something that says global settings. So we'll go ahead and click that. So as that page loads, you're going to see another drop-down menu. And that's going to allow you to pick the store that you want to control the global settings for. So if you have multiple eBay stores, you'll see all those stores listed here. And then if you see a duplicate like the one below here, that's an open box store. I'll explain how you get to that point from global settings after. But let's just start with the first store.
We got a lot of people saying Joe's the man in the comments. I just got to let you know that.
Thanks, guys. So, all right. So now that we're in the global settings page, you'll see the first option would be eBay final value fees. So here in the US, in maybe different in other countries, but in the US, it's 9.15% if you have an eBay store subscription. So that's basically the purpose for putting this here is so that when your items are repriced, it makes sure to add that 9.15% from eBay's fees into your profit formula so that you're covering that. The next selection, which is pretty similar to the eBay final value fee section, is the PayPal fees per transaction. This one will change. In the US, it's 2.9% plus 30 cents per transaction. So depending on your country, depending on your PayPal fees, this is where you would input that. And just like the eBay section, it's going to be added to your profit formula to make sure that it's, considered in your break-even price, or at least gives you a break-even point to start at. So now when you come down here, you'll see Amazon sales tax markup, prime and non-prime. So the reason why you see prime and non-prime is that in many cases, prime items will have sales tax, being that Amazon has fulfillment centers all over the United States, or at least, this one I guess would probably apply more to U.S. sellers. I know you could probably use it for like a VAT situation in other countries, but the prime stores most often, or the prime sellers most often have sales tax due to the fulfillment centers. Non-prime sellers, like third-party marketplace items, they can still have sales tax, but there's some instances where, or there's probably more instances where you won't be charged sales tax. So that's up to you. If you find that you're seeing losses due to sales tax charged on your Amazon purchases, you could put a markup here to cover yourself for that. Hopefully that makes sense. So when you get down here, you're going to see quantity. This is the number of items available in eBay. The default is set at 1 right now, but this is something you want to consider changing depending on what your eBay listing limits look like. So if you're a relatively new seller and you don't have huge eBay listing limits, you probably want to keep your default quantity around 1. If, let's say, you're a little bit more established with eBay and you have huge limits, you might want to come down here and say, hey, I'll allow myself to have a quantity of 3 per item. You do have to keep in mind, if you have 100 items and you set a quantity to 3, eBay considers this 300 items against your limits. Basically, the way this would work is it'll always default back to 3 after you sell through your inventory. So if you sell out, it's going to be a good till canceled listing, so it's going to default back to a quantity of 3. Right down here is where you would set your repricing formula. Sale Freaks will do, well, let's start down here first, I guess. So you'll see that they have a range. It'll say from 15 to 40. This is just what was inputted here, or this may be the default where it starts, but this is really going to completely depend on what strategy you want to go for. Some people go for a higher margin strategy where they, wish to sell less items but make more profit per item. So maybe say, I want my profits around 10 to 20, or maybe, you're looking to kind of have more traffic. You want more traffic. You're willing to take a lesser profit per item, and you say you come somewhere down between, I don't know, let's say 3 to 10. This will be completely up to you, and there's no perfect settings for everyone. It's really going to depend on, what you're trying to proceed with for your strategy. So I guess the easiest way to put it is obviously the lower you're willing to price your items, the more volume you can expect, obviously lower profit. If you raise your margins, you're obviously going to slow your traffic down a little bit, but obviously much bigger profits per order. The reason why you have a range is that it's because Sale Freaks can price competitively. So basically what you're saying here is, if you find competition, I'm willing to go as low as 3% markup. This markup is, of course, on top of the break-even, price that we've established by setting in our PayPal fees and eBay fees. But yeah, so if they find a competitor, they'll go as low as 3% markup. If there's no competitors, they'll price your item as high as 10% markup. So that's what this range is for. So minimal profit value per sale after break even. So again, after your eBay and PayPal fees are considered, this section right here is going to determine, what your minimal profit is. So let's say you want to make at least 50 cents, or let's say $1, just to use an even number right now. Let's say you want to make $1 on every sale, regardless of, this margin here, this is going to go ahead and add literally $1 to make sure you have at least $1 profit per sale. So whatever you set this to will be your, I don't want to say guaranteed minimum profit, because obviously, you can have an item on a stock here and there, but for the most part, you're going to see at least that $1. Let's see if we come on down here. Yeah, so if you remember when we first selected the store up top here, we saw the open box one. This is where this comes into play. So if you enable an open box store, it's basically going to open up it's going to be under the same store you're running, but it's going to open up a second option for settings on that open box store. So all the settings will look exactly the same, but most commonly for most people, you'll see that they'll set their open box profits to be higher. So On the open box store, you might say, hey, I want my profits to look more like 15 to 40 or 15 to 20, whatever it may be. I guess we can probably elaborate on that more down the road because that's kind of, a whole nother segment. We have an auto message to buyers section. So if you come in here, you can basically customize and select, which messages you want to send automatically after, let's see, for instance, either an item was purchased, your tracking was added, after, their item arrived on time. So you could, customize whatever message you want here for those buyers for any of these particular situations. Over here is the template. So basically, they have a default template already made for you. If you wanted to make your own template, which is in another section, which I think, again, might be saved for another video, you could go ahead and make your other template and choose which template will be your default here. But this is just literally kind of like the style of how your eBay listing is going to show up. Most people use the default template in the beginning. Over here, total number of images to upload. So let's assume you're selling an item on eBay where Amazon has maybe only one photo. You can choose to basically say, hey, I want 12 photos. That would be the max option here. And basically all that's going to do is replicate whatever photos are provided by Amazon to provide at least 12 photos. Or maybe you want 4, 5, 6, whatever it may be. The reason they have this option is it seemed for a while that eBay favored listings with more photos. I can't, confirm whether that's still a variable or not, but I usually set mine to 12 photos. So over here, you see a feature that says hide my UPC. Basically what this feature would do is allow you to have a custom UPC for an item if you wanted to try to maybe make your listing a little bit more unique. Again, this is another thing that we can't confirm. This is just speculation. You can try it if you want. But in some cases, people were finding that they were seeing maybe more sales with a custom UPC. This may not apply as much now considering eBay is trying to build a catalog. So, that's something you might want to decide on whether you want to use this or not. I currently do not use it just in case eBay does follow through further with their catalog style listings, in which case a correct UPC would be required. Over here, we see Amazon vendor type. Basically, what this means is, you have, this is basically the items you're willing to sell from Amazon. So SaleFreaks is automatically going to single out or allow certain items based on what you choose here. What best offer essentially is going to do is it's going to find the best deal, period. As long as it's within, I think they have some certain stipulations here that say they must have 85% positive feedback and at least, so there's certain requirements for that to be chosen. But best offer would allow third-party Amazon sellers from the Amazon marketplace. What prime priority does is, as it says, prioritizes prime items. But under certain circumstances, if you have an incredible deal from a trusted third-party marketplace seller, SaleFreaks may occasionally allow for the item to not be a prime item if the conditions are correct. And prime only, as it says, means that SaleFreaks will only allow prime items to be listed basically on your eBay store or monitored. So should you have an item that leaves prime and it's only available in marketplace, SaleFreaks would set that item out of stock until it returns to prime. So these are literally just choosing which type of Amazon items you're willing to sell in your store. So then you have fulfillment type. This is basically determining what type of prime items you want. So this applies specifically to prime items. So there's fulfilled by Amazon and sold by Amazon. So the difference here is that you can have so for instance, I sell some stuff on Amazon myself. We have we have a store where we actually ship our products to Amazon and they ship them out for us via Prime shipping. So basically fulfilled by Amazon would mean that you could have a third-party seller who sends their items into Amazon and then Amazon then ships them for you. Sold by Amazon is when Amazon basically owns the inventory and ships it via Prime themselves. So you can choose which segment you want here. I usually just go with all prime. That's how I run my stores. That's how I've always run my stores. Pretty much anything prime is always going to be very safe. So down here, you have your business policy section. So what this essentially is it's basically the presets you have for shipping, returns, and payment. You will, if you don't have business policy set up, they also have a custom setting section. So you could come over here and say, you could kind of configure it how you wanted. You could say, whatever it would be. You could say, this is my PayPal email.com. Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, you can put your PayPal email in here, how many days and what your handling time would be. So should you buy an item from us, we're going to ship it in 1 day, 2 days, whatever you choose. I usually keep mine around 1 to 2 days in most cases. In certain holidays, I'll increase my handling time if I know that there's going to be hangups on shipping time due to the holiday. So over here, shipping method, you can select whether you're going to provide standard shipping or fast and free. I usually provide fast and free because this would basically just be any sort of expedited shipping, which I think is usually expected to arrive in somewhere between 1 to 3 days, 1 to 4 days after your handling time. I usually choose fast and free because Prime often ships in 2 days, and they don't usually make too many mistakes. It's almost, I would say 95% of the time they arrive within 2 days. So, and if you choose fast and free, it's also going to provide better exposure within eBay's search results. So over here, you have a section where it's shipping price for expedited shipping. Obviously, if you chose expedited shipping, this is going to be free. This would apply only if maybe you chose standard. Then you could list how much more you want to charge for that expedited shipping. So you could say, if you did standard, you'd say I want $3.99 more if you want expedited. And as the same as expedited, there's an option for overnight shipping. You could add however much you want to charge for overnight shipping. Obviously, you would have to make sure that the price you're charging is more than what Amazon would charge you. So you got your return policy. 30 days is at least required. You need at least a 30-day return policy. Shipping to PO boxes, this is kind of up to you. If you're newer, you might want to disable it to avoid having to cancel orders. I've been selling for a while, so I enable it. I find that at this point, I can probably ship 70% of my orders that are PO boxes, somewhere around there. Certain PO box addresses won't be accepted by Amazon. So again, if you're newer, maybe you leave that off for now, just to avoid potentially having to cancel items and getting negative feedback early on. And then support international shipping. So you can do this one of two ways. I'm using something called HipShipper, which you'll see further down in the global settings in a second. But I think this section here would be for the eBay Global Shipping Program. I prefer HipShipper, so we'll leave that at disabled for now. This is the page you would go through if you don't have any business policies and you had to create a new business policy for your shipping, payment, and everything. If you already have business policies, like I said, you can just go here. Let me go back if I did that too quickly. So yeah, you would just go to edit whatever policy it was, refresh, and your existing business policies from eBay will populate over here. Basically, pretty self-explanatory. So for Prime items, you're generally going to have your expedited shipping. For non-Prime items, you're going to probably have standard shipping and maybe a longer handling time because, again, these are going to be coming from basically third-party sellers or marketplace sellers on Amazon. If you guys have obviously questions about some of these things, you can, I guess, ask afterwards, and I can try to elaborate more. So item shipping location, pretty much as it says, it would be your item's shipping location. Of course, you're not actually going to be shipping from your home address or your home zip code. So some people might just write something like multiple locations over here. Others might, put in like, I'm from Rhode Island, so I might put in a Rhode Island zip code. It's up to you. I've experimented either way. I've run multiple locations on some of my stores, and then I've also tried a zip code for a particular state on one store. This was another thing that was questioned, whether or not it would boost your exposure in eBay search engine, because for a while they didn't want to see multiple locations, but in my experience, it actually hasn't really seemed to matter one way or another, whether I use a zip code or type multiple locations here. So Hip Shipper. This applies to global shipping and would probably require another video to explain in depth. But basically, because Hip Shipper does require a bit of a configuration in order to set up and get going, it's not as simple as hitting enable. But what a Hip Shipper allows you to do is ship internationally, and it also allows you to make a markup or profit on your shipping price. So you can tell Hip Shipper, hey, for every order I want to make at least $4 on the shipping. So every international order, they're going to leave a $4 markup for you as profit, beyond the expense of actually shipping the item wherever it may be going. So let's see down here, PayPal account to buy gift cards on SaleFreaks. This would literally just be your PayPal email address. You can figure it here. PayPal has an option to buy gift cards, Amazon gift cards directly from them, which would be used to purchase, basically be used to, to supply your funds for purchasing on Amazon. So minimal negative profit to allow automatic purchase. Over here, you're basically just going to determine what the maximum negative you're willing to take in order to allow auto ordering to keep moving. So SaleFreaks auto orders your items. So if you make a sale, they're gonna order it for you. They're gonna do everything in that regard. But sometimes if an item changes prices too quickly, or it maybe goes out of stock, or there's a new supplier that pops up. Let's say something happens suddenly and SaleFreaks doesn't have time to reprice it right away. And let's say the item is going to be a loss of, let's say, $2. You might be able to go over here and say, hey, I'm willing to let, I don't know, a $3. I'm willing to take a loss of $3 to allow auto ordering to just keep moving and keep the flow going. I think I have mine set around maybe 4 or 5 or even higher. You might not want to do that in the beginning. I do it only because I do a pretty good amount of sales. And for me, I just look at the big picture. I don't care if I have a negative $3 profit here and there. So I'd rather keep auto ordering moving. I'd rather keep my customers happy and let them get their item and just take a small loss. At the end of the day, like I said, it's about what your profit is as an average. It doesn't really matter, if you lost $3 in one order. If you're profitable at the end of the day, profit's profit. So I suggest allowing at least a small negative profit to keep things flowing. And again, to clarify, this is only if something happens suddenly on Amazon and SaleFreaks can't correct your pricing quick enough. Doesn't happen often. Okay, so we have disable auto order for high priced items. So this again might be something good to use if you're a newer seller. Sometimes you can run into some issues with higher priced items, or basically it can be more troublesome to deal with an expensive return as a new seller than maybe it would be if you're an experienced seller. I have a lot of cash flow, a lot of sales coming in on a regular basis, so I don't really worry about this too much. I'm willing to deal with selling a higher priced item and potentially running into an issue. But if you want to avoid that, you can go over here, turn this on, and say do not auto order if the item costs more than, let's say, $300 or $400, whatever you choose it to be. So to clarify, if you sell an item that is going to cost $500 on Amazon.com, SaleFreaks is going to not auto order this item, and it's going to become a purchase issue. This page you'll probably see in a later video and learn how to address those. So all it's doing is preventing the auto order system from buying this item, so you can vet it yourself and determine whether you want to buy it or cancel the order with the buyer. So this one over here, use sales tax table on eBay. Pretty self-explanatory. If you have a sales tax table configured on eBay, this is how you would choose to turn it on. You only want to use this if you have, you want to speak to an accountant first and obviously figure out what the best process here would be. But let's say you have tax exemptions in certain states and for your Amazon buying accounts, and you charge sales tax on eBay in those states, you would then use that table. But of course, you need the permits to charge sales tax. PayPal Mass Pay. Basically what this is another option to buy gift cards on SaleFreaks. So what you would input here again would be your PayPal email address, whatever that may be. And this would allow you to use MassPay to buy gift cards from them. The benefit is generally that MassPay only has a $1 fee. That's, again, something that we could probably elaborate on at a later point. Stealth mode. This isn't something I really use in particular, but what this would allow you to do is list duplicate items. Let's say you had multiple stores, and let's say they're not connected, like they're not under the same PayPal account. Let's say they're two different people. You could technically put stealth mode on and allow yourself to list duplicate items on each store. Most of my accounts are connected, so I don't really use this. Because eBay does frown upon it. If you were to list duplicates, they're not going to be very happy with that, and you could risk getting your account suspended. So for the most part, only one listing per item per all of your eBay stores that are linked to you. So, you can't list anything twice. Coupon Hunter. This is actually a pretty cool feature they added recently that's made me a good amount of money. If you enable this, you can basically say, I want to list only items with, let's say, 3 stars to 5 stars. And you only see a limit of 2 here. This is a demo account. This will be a percentage of your listing plan that it'll tell you how much you can list. But again, this is a demo account, so there's really probably no real plan attached to this. But for for laughs, we'll just basically put the max of 2. And again, this varies based on your plan size. So what this does now is it finds items on Amazon that have coupons or discounts of some sort, and it basically lists those items only. The benefit to that is that obviously you're going to see an extra profit after you purchase the item. So, if you have a $100 item that you sell, or an item that costs $100 on Amazon, and there's a 10% coupon, obviously that's an extra $10 profit for you once the coupon's clipped. And Sale Freak's auto ordering system automatically clips those coupons, so you don't have to worry about that. It's all done for you. But all this does here is automatically list those items with coupons for you based on your requirements. Sales Hunter is similar to Coupon Hunter, except it chooses the items it's going to be listing based on a target seller. So if we were to enable this, we're going to, again, your limits are going to be contingent to the size of your Sale Freaks plan. But what you can basically say is, I'm willing to, this is based on a daily rate. So let's say I'm willing to list 50 items a day. The requirement is that the seller must have sold this item, let's say at least, so this is within a 24-hour period. So the seller must have sold this item at least once within a 24-hour period. And it must be priced, let's say, somewhere between $10 and, $75. You can obviously put any range, of specifics you want here. For me, like I said, I'm not afraid to go a little higher in price, but for the most part, I'd say that even my top dollar items probably cap out around $500. But I don't think you have to be too picky here. You can put a wide range without any trouble at all. So basically, title source. What this does is it determines whether you want to list your item with the title from the supplier, being Amazon, or you want to steal the title from the target seller. I almost always prefer to use the supplier, being Amazon's title, because unless you're paying attention, you can potentially have some mistakes here. So if the person you're targeting or the person you're copying has maybe an error in their title, you too will have an error in your title. So I think the safest route is to just choose the supplier's title. And then this is where you would determine the seller you want to target. So you hit edit and you add a store name. Deals, we'll just make something up. So you would basically add this seller. Let's say, hey, I've determined that this, it's obviously not going to come up because I don't think it's a store, but obviously you're going to find a real store and you're going to say, hey, these guys look like they do pretty good business. I want to basically list items that they sell. I don't think you'll be able to put Sale Freak sellers in here, which is good. They protect you from that. So you'll only be able to basically snipe people that are not Sale Freak sellers. But to go back over that, it's basically a system to automatically snipe sellers for you. and list those items based on your requirements. Let's see, cashback. So basically, if you enable cashback, you have two options. You can either use Be Frugal or Mr. Rebates. I prefer Mr. Rebates. Be Frugal doesn't tend to be all that stable in terms of providing cash back. So my choice would be Mr. Rebates here. You basically want to just input your username, which would probably be your email address and your password for that Mr. Rebates account. And then you're basically just going to come down here and set in your max daily item purchases and max daily cost. What this basically does is says that, let's see, max daily item purchases. So let's say you're worried about your cashback account getting closed. You say, hey, I don't want you to purchase more than 10 items, and I don't want a max daily cost of more than $1,000. I personally have found Mr. Rebates to be pretty good, so I just let them basically do all my items. So you could just put a huge number like, I don't know, 10,000, 100,000 to ensure that all your purchases are going to go through the cashback site. You can also add multiple if you want. So if you want to add, 10 different, Mr. Rebates accounts, you could do that as well. But it doesn't seem to be necessary at this point. All right. And last but not least, looks like maximum add-on quantity per listing. So what this really does is it says, as you can see over here, add-on multiplier. In the past, you could basically bundle a bunch of add-ons together and ship them all to different addresses. And that was one way to sell add-on items, but that no longer works. So SaleFreaks found a solution where they'll multiply the add-on items based on whatever number you set here. So 5, 10, whatever you want. So essentially, let's say, I honestly forget offhand what it's $25. You need at least $25 in your cart to ship an add-on item. So what this would do is, let's say you've got a $5 add-on and you multiply it by 5 items. SaleFreaks essentially makes it a 5-pack. You now have $25 in your account and you can sell those add-ons as a bundle. Again, this is completely up to you. If you want to bump this up to 10 to ensure that you're meeting that $25 more steadily, then you can do that as well. So pretty much once you're done going through all these settings as we just did, you would hit save and you're going to get a success message right up here. So that means that SaleFreaks is going to go ahead and apply all of these settings or changes that you made to your eBay account. Hopefully I kind of explained that well enough for the most part. Again, I'm new to the whole.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was a lot of really good information, man. I wasn't expecting to go into like that much depth, but we needed it. There's so many options to get it set up, man. Like that was incredible, man. We've got over 86 people watching live, and the people have been loving it.
Awesome. Glad to hear that.
Yeah, that was really informative, man. Like that's important. So like I would say to the people who are watching now, whether you're watching live or you're watching the replay, what I want you guys to do, this is your homework, because we're going to have a 12-part series. Every week, there's going to be a new video that's going to walk you through this entire process. And I'm sure, as you can see, this software is a bit more advanced than some of the other tools. I know a lot of the people who are watching use DSM tool. This is much more advanced, much more powerful. So what I want you guys to do for your homework assignment before the next video, and the next video we're going to be going into, I believe, the item locator, correct? I believe that's our second video.
Yeah, I think that's next on deck for sure. And as you said, it sounds complicated, but it's actually all, you'll find that it's very simple once you kind of get going with it, and it's all relatively self-explanatory. And the options are there to customize as much as you want or as little as you want. So, yeah.
Exactly. Awesome. So I want to give you guys homework. It's like we're in school right now, but this is it. Like, this is what success is made up of. A lot of people think they have to bust their butt for 20 hours a day, every day for a year straight. A lot of times you just got to put up that upfront work and be consistent with it. So before next video, I want you guys to go into the link down below. Click that link. It's rakeandprofit.com/salefreaks. And I want you to go through that because you're going to get 100 free listings. So you're not going to have to pay the $30 a month to usually get the 100 listings. You're going to get it for free since you're on this training. And what I want you to do is rewatch this video and go through each and every one of those settings and set up your global settings, set up your policies, and get everything together that we talked about, because this is going to be the foundation for you guys to grow your dropshipping business as we move into other topics. As I look at my outline, moving into the item locator, learning how to run a search, analyzing deals, generating listings, learning how to list products with the listing generator, the listing wizard, managing your products, your orders, diving deep into the sales hunter and the coupon hunter, learning about Vero and what items you can and can't sell so you don't get in trouble, virtual assistants, sales freaks, Zik Analytics, hooking up your Amazon account. So we have a lot of free information that's in store for you, but you've got to do your homework on this training. All the stuff that Joe shared with you with the global settings is crucial, right? So I don't know if you have anything else you want to say, any last pieces of advice before we jump off the call, but I want to let people kind of get going and start setting up their global settings on their own.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we could keep it brief. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, it's a awesome platform to, you know, if you're going to have success on eBay, this is probably, I mean, definitely the platform to use. I've used them for like 3 years now, and I'm probably going on 4 years. It's like anything else. If you put the effort in, you can definitely see the reward. It's not like a, you know, get rich quick overnight thing, but you can definitely build a nice business for yourself if you keep plugging away at it. So, I mean, I think just getting started is the hardest thing for most people to do. So if you get started now, I mean, that's one step in the right direction. Definitely.
Absolutely. And we had a question that kept coming through asking, is there a specific best profit range that you should set in Sale Freaks to get the most sales? So I know you touched on that a little bit.
So it really depends, right? So some people are able to get it. If you're in the US, then chances are you have a 5% cashback card from either, let's say, American Express, Synchrony Bank, or Chase. So if you have one of those cashback cards, I suppose you can get away with listing or having a lower front end margin, if you will. Yeah. So there's no perfect price formula. There's no, you know, basically you have to experiment with that. You have to see what you're willing to take, what you're willing to work with. So you could technically go 0% on the front end if you want to make all cash back, but that's completely up to you. Obviously, the lower your prices, the more volume you're going to drive. As I've said in other, you know, videos, you can kind of pick your front end profit up with open box items, but again, that's something that we probably would elaborate on at a later point in time.
For sure. So yeah, looking forward to the future videos. You know, if you're having trouble making a profit on these items, I've noticed what a lot of the successful sellers are doing is they're making sure, one, they're tax exempt. That's important. Two, that they have a cashback credit card, like some of the cards that Joe mentioned, because that's 5%. That's huge right there. There's gift cards. There's all different types of strategies. So it's much more than just finding the right product. There's the back end strategy as well, which we'll definitely talk more about. But with that being said, I'm going to let you guys get running, get to work, take action. Joe, I want to thank you so much for the very detailed tutorial, step one, part one of this series. So if you guys want to stay tuned with this series, obviously subscribe to this channel and you'll stay updated. Also, if you look in the description, the first link is 100 free listings with Sale Freaks. You can grab that. But also the third link is a free dropshipping training workshop. If you get on that email list, you'll actually stay in the loop for when these videos come out, and I'll just send you guys a direct email. Plus you'll get a bunch of free videos and bonus information. So with that being said, Joe, thank you so much. You did great, man. You're a really good teacher, brother. I'm not just saying that. Like, that was very detail oriented. So thank you, man, for really walking us through the process with the global settings. And we'll see you guys. The next video, second and third video, will be coming pretty much every week from now. So stay tuned for that. Sign up for the email list, get your 100 free listings, and we'll talk soon. Thanks, Joe. Thanks everyone for watching.
No problem. Take it easy, guys.
Take care.